Hello and welcome to my channel. Well, this one's going to be a little rant, and as I was thinking about it, I thought, you know what? One of the things I've tried to avoid as I've been getting old and everything is to sound like an old man. you know, I mean, the stereotypical old grumpy old man. Like, what are these kids? What are these kids up to nowadays? And then the reason why I've got this out here is because I'm going to be talking about that anyway, so I might as well have one up there anyway. I'm not going to be, handling it or playing around with it or anything else. It's just a backdrop, okay? But I was thinking about that, and that very thing of these kids nowadays. It's not just kids, it's adults, but it's how society has changed. And what brought this off is I was watching Tobias's video on a cold steel plastic dagger, double-edged type of dagger, and Tobias was saying that he thinks it should be banned, but I disagree with that because those things have been around for decades. I don't know what happened to it, but I've got a cold steel CIA letter opener, airplane knife, or whatever they used to advertise it as, and it's made out of a strong plastic. They advertise as hammering through plywood with it, quarter-inch plywood. That's how tough it was. When I got it, it was, it didn't have a sharp edge on it. It had it's plastic. And they said, you can sharpen the edge up with a nail file. No, you can't. you can try, but I mean, I tried, but no, it's like Tobias showed on his, with cutting paper and stuff or talked about it. It doesn't cut paper worth of crap. It's good at stabbing things, and that's what they were pretty much designed for. It said like CIA letter opener or something. But they weren't even good at opening letters. I mean, you've got to have a sharp edge for that. But I disagree with the thought that because certain objects could be used for something, then they shouldn't be available. I mean, if you think about the concept behind, all right, we need, these are plastic knives. They're really not as good as a regular knife. Because like I said, I've owned one since the 80s, 70s or 80s. I remember getting it right after I got my Sting. I saw that the real A.G. Russell Sting, it's a double-edged dagger. Right after I got that, this was being hyped up and everything, And they were saying, invisible to metal detectors. Well, the thing is, even if something's invisible to metal detectors, the thing about laws, all these different laws, is we've already got laws on the books covering the most dangerous thing, which is if you act illegally with anything, plastic knife, a sharpened pencil, anything, that act is illegal. Not the pencil, not the act of sharpening a pencil, not merely, possessing one. And if you want, I know, I don't understand. I've had a stepchild, but he was like in his teenage years when I got him. But I understand parents wanting to protect their children. But when I was young, we had pocket knives. We could carry to school, probably not this size. Parents, I had that melon tester that I had. My mom took that away from me because she thought that was too long of a knife blade for me to have. I mean, so there was built in. What I'm trying to say is, some of this is on the parents. Some of it's on the parents and how the children are raised. I mean, yes, we want to make life better for our children, so we usually make it easier for them and everything. But if you're a child and you pick up a plastic knife and you think, oh, this is just a toy one that I can stab my friend with, that kid's got an issue. That kid's got a problem. He's never handled. I mean, you've got what? When you're a kid, you got sharpened sticks that you could stab someone else with. Or what, are we going to ban trees? You know, and you can sharpen a stick without a knife. You can just do it on a concrete. I've done it before. You can just take the edge and just go back and forth on a brick or concrete or whatever. And you can get a sharpened stick. So that's my thing about all this is like whenever there's a mass shooting in America, a call is to ban assault weapons. Well, assault weapons are full auto. They're not semi-automatic. Yeah, you may call this semantics, but there's a big difference. You know, so already the term is being changed just to make it sound scary and stuff like that. But you know what kills more people than assault weapons and everything else? Handguns. And handguns, of course, you know, if they got the assault weapon ban through and people were still getting killed, they would keep restricting and restricting and restricting. Law-abiding people that are not doing anything illegal with this, they keep throwing up more and more laws to stop the lawless. And I mean, right there, you should see the problem with this, you know, is that if someone's going to be lawless, it doesn't matter what law you pass. They're going to do something that, you know, that's their nature. It's by the description. I mean, that's how we describe things in the English language or whatever language you want to describe it as. Is somebody that knows what the laws are or whatever, but breaks them anyways, is a criminal. And eventually, you know, hopefully they'll get caught. But you can't make everything that they do illegal just because they do it illegally. You know, like they drive a car too fast or whatever. You know, we can make it where, you know, let's put regulators on vehicles so they can't go, you know, beyond a certain mile per hour, you know, in the name of safety. All this time, usually every time a restriction. Now, I'm not arguing for plastic knives so much because if somebody wants to buy one and use it, go ahead. You know, I mean, use it as a self-defense tool, fine, but you've got better options. You know, this is like a last-ditch type of thing. And none of this stopped airlines from being hijacked on 9/11 with box cutters, which now they've, you know, illegalized or whatever, but, you know, we need to go after the criminals, the people that are committing the crimes, not the people that are not committing crimes. We can't make it. They say that every day you break some kind of law, whether you know it or not. It may be some arcane law on the books or something, you know, like don't pet a horse on Sunday. I don't know. There's a bunch of weird laws in a bunch of states and stuff, but, you know, the thing about that is most people are going about their lives and they don't want to be hassled and they don't want to be messed with. And if you get to where you're coddling the criminals and you're just saying, look, you know what, shoplifting, you know, that's really poor people that, you know, they're hungry and that. No, it's a lot of it is organized crimes, organized gangs and stuff. They know that they mob the place and they go in there. So it used to be what happened was a store owner was able to defend their property because it's their livelihood, their life. They could defend it with deadly force if they needed to. Guess what? You didn't have mobs of people going in there and robbing a place because the first wave would have been taken out with shotguns or pistols or whatever, you know? You have certain rights as being a human being, no matter where you are. Now, whether your government recognizes it or not is one thing, but one of them is the right to self-defense. It's not the right to self-offense. It's not legal. You have a right to have this knife on you, but when you pull it out and start using it on other people, you've committed all different kinds of crimes. Are we going to make this knife illegal? Well, it does look scary, you know. It's got a long blade, and England, you know, and a lot of places like that have already restricted. And in America, there's a lot of places restricted based on blade length because it looks scary. A knife is still a knife. The thing about the blade length is supposedly the longer blades can reach vital organs in a stab, but all of them are still going to be able to cut your jugular vein open. So it's trying to legislate behavior, and the only way you can do that is to make it costly for the people that are doing that. And I'm not necessarily saying you have to blast shoplifters, but you have to make it cost them in some way. They can't get away with it. It's not profitable for them, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not advocating, violence on stuff. I'm just saying back in the day, they had a way of handling this stuff. And I know singers and songwriters have gotten problems for expressing how things were different or things could be different and stuff. And I'm not advocating violence or anything to stuff like this. I'm just saying, if someone commits violence on you, you have a right to commit violence back on them. And if they're threatening you or your loved ones, you have a right to protect yourself. And it doesn't mean that you should necessarily give them everything that you've worked so hard for to own. I mean, if they steal your money and everything, you think, oh, that's only money, or that's only this or that. You have to evaluate the situation. I mean, like a dozen of these hoodlums or whatever are trying to carjack you and stuff, and you don't have anything with you. It might be better just to give up your car, It all depends on what you're willing to accept as a loss, And the older I get, the less I'm willing to accept someone taken from me without an argument or a fight, I have a means of protecting myself most of the time, and I will use it, but I won't use it offensively. I never have. I've owned an AK-47 since before the first assault weapon ban. They did one of those. And I've had it all these years. I've got extended magazines for it and all these other things that are supposed to make it even more bad and stuff like that. Have I or that gun committed a mass shooting or a mass anything with it? No. I shot a lot of rounds through it. But it was at targets. It was at other stuff. And why? Because I'm not wired that way. I don't have... If I got a block with an issue with society, I try to deal with it maybe with a video or something like that. But there are people out there that think that they're entitled to, it's a big store. It's kind of like the reverse of the Robin Hood, steal from the rich and give to the poor, except they consider themselves the poor, and they're not giving it to anybody else. They're just stealing for themselves. So I don't know the answer to it, but I do know that liberal laws that allow criminals to commit acts of theft and stuff like that, you can see a lot of these stores are just shutting down. They just say, the cost of business is just too much. It's just too much to put in it. Employees are not allowed to even stop someone from shoplifting. They're like, oh, don't get involved. You might get hurt. We might get a lawsuit, blah, blah. Just let them go. Well, look, what you're telling people. And then they go to the extremes of locking everything up. Well, then it's no longer a store. You're going to have to do a drive-up or whatever, with your order already picked for you, because you're not going to... Well, the employees are going to walk around with keys, and then when is it going to be they're going to come in there and just take the key off of one of the people? And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't have any answers to it, but I do know the answer is not enact more laws, not ban more stuff, not restrict people's rights to protect themselves. If you're not allowed to protect yourself, and if it costs you more, to protect yourself than it does the criminal to rip you off, then you're not living in a free society. you're living in a society that's rigged for the criminals. And it shouldn't be that way. And how does it happen that way? Well, in America, a lot of these positions are elected or appointed. Like some judges are just appointed, some are elected. But you can get people in there that are not qualified or have an agenda. We need to help the criminal out more. So let's, like cities like Portland, Oregon, check that place out. See how that has declined over the years. A lot of places in California where they say, we've got a homeless problem, so let's just turn our streets and cities and everything else into a homeless camp. And yeah, that's a really good answer. Like I said, I don't have any answers to all of this stuff. I watched one video of a millennial or somebody talking about why people are not willing to work anymore, and they make some of really good points. And that is, no one should want to work. You have to work. You work because you have to, not because you want to. That's just the way it's set up. That's the way it's always been set up. And to try to turn it around and say things should be better. Yeah, things always should have been better. Just like the United Auto Workers strike that's going on and stuff, where they're sitting there and the corporate CEOs and the stockholders and everything have made billions, but they haven't improved the working conditions of the people or their pay. So there again, there's that goose that laid golden egg. If the way, one company that I worked for that had a way of fixing that was stock options. Intel, the better you did, the more stocks you were given at a discount rate or whatever, but they would, and so you had a vested interest in the company in a way. If it did well, you did well. If it did bad, you didn't get as many stocks. So there are ways around a lot of this stuff. But again, like I say, on plastic knives and like replica guns or whatever, anything can be turned into a weapon. Damn near anything. I mean, there are some limitations, but really, it's just, there are so many ways to off a human being. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And it's the intent behind it. If someone has a bad intent, no law is going to stop them. No restriction is going to work. It's just not going to work. So, anyway, all I'm saying is, no matter what the laws are or whatever it is, if someone is attacking you, you have a right to defend yourself with whatever means you have available. If it is a sharpened pencil, use it. To me, it's better that than being a victim, or being a slave. Either way, if someone took your property, you basically worked for them, And if you let them get away with it, it's like a damn bully. The more they do it, the more they get away with it, the more tough they think they are. And you just have to cut them down a notch or two, let them know. You may play that game somewhere else, but you ain't playing it here. Homie, don't play that game. But anyway, I know everybody's in different countries and you have different restrictions and laws and rules and regulations and you have to weigh everything out. But my suggestion would be, if all you've got is the power of the vote, then vote the right people in that are going to do something about that. And if they don't do something about it, then I don't know what you can do. Really, they only offer us in democracy the power of the vote, and if that's taken away from you, then I don't know, just bug the crap out of them all the time. Just keep writing them letters. Every time they start doing a new knife law or knife restriction, protest it, Get up there, do a video, or get on a mailing list or something, or picket the front office if you have to. At least so you feel like, well, you know what? You may have taken my rights away, but you didn't do it without a fight, I fought. It's actually people before us have fought for all of our rights. They wrote this stuff down in the Constitution, but what guaranteed it is people fighting for that. We declared our independence, but it was only after a war. You know, only after a war that we really, got independent. So your freedoms and your rights are always going to be very hard to get, rarely honored, and easily taken away from you if you do nothing. If you just let them, and if you're on their side, oh, I think these are bad. Let's ban these. Yeah, there's got to be some kind of answer, but I don't know. Taking away all weapons, you're still going to have everywhere in every household. There's still going to be kitchen knives. So you're worried about kids getting a hold of a plastic knife. Meanwhile, you've got a butcher knife at their level. They can pull the drawer back probably and get it. Yeah. It's, to me, there is something wrong with society, but I'm at the age now where it's gonna just affect me on the sidelines. I'm on the way out. I'm on the way out. To me, it's just kind of like entertainment, the way the world is falling apart, because I could be, I could go at any day for any reason. We're none of us are guaranteed a tomorrow, and I don't try to live each and every day as if it's my last, but sometimes it might be helpful to look at it like that way, as what would you regret if you lost everything? Not just your property, but your life. Well, of course, you wouldn't have a brain, so you wouldn't be able to regret anything. But if you could look back on it, and have any regrets, you might regret a few things that you didn't do. You didn't speak up when there was some wrong kind of happening, or you went along with something that you knew was going to take away your rights just for safety, and it didn't guarantee your safety, but it took it away. Like from now on, you can't have anything like a box cutter on an airplane. Well, okay, that makes sense. You got to take your shoes off. You got to get this. You got to get that. Now you got to have a certain kind of proof that you've been to a doctor. It just piles up more and more and more. And the rich keep getting richer, and the powerful keep getting more powerful. And the peons, which they all, we're the goose. We're the goose where they're getting all their gold from. They're profiting off our labor. They're profiting off our taxes, our income. They're profiting off us, and they want more. They're not happy with billions. They want to show off their other billionaire friends that they're more of a billionaire than they are. Look at me, I can go to Mars. Oh yeah, well, look at me, I can go to the moon. Why don't you do something here on this planet? No, because you're trying to figure out your escape plan. If this planet is too jacked up, you're going to go off to your own planet. Well, good, But it would have been nice if you could have spent some of your money to better the life of your fellow human beings that got you so damn rich. That would have been nice. That would have been somewhat human of you. But no, we're going to remember these people because they were rich and powerful. Oh, what does this guy think? Guess what he just tweeted, or just what he just did. The hell with them. They're scumbags. They got that way by ripping other people off, not by being super clever or anything else. Yeah, we might need CEOs and everything else, but they don't need to be paid that damn much. So that also they should invest in their people. When I first worked at Intel, it was a huge company. It treated us like a small business, man. I tell you, they were making so much money. They were giving us clothing, all kinds of stuff. They would give us bonuses. Uh, it was crazy. It was a hard job and it was difficult. But I mean, at first they were really treating us well. But then they got into that profit. Like I said, they moved my plant to China, and that's how I ended my career with Intel. Even though I had been an equipment tech, an operations tech, a systems tech, a remote operations tech. I mean, all different, a trainer, everything. I thought I had it covered, but it turned out all right. After that, I mean, I'm not bitter. That's life. Stuff happens, but yeah, that's all I'm saying. It's just a really long ramble. I was kind of like thinking about gun laws and knife laws, and every time something bad happens, it's always don't go at the root issue. Go after, well, he had a gun, or he had a knife, and the knife was this long, or the knife had the ability to come out with a push of a button. Ooh, that was scary. Let's keep people from ever doing that again. How? By making it illegal to have those. That's really going to cut down on crime. If you look back at like switchblades, the history of switchblades in America and how they were illegalized and everything, it's mostly because of movies, Hollywood movies and stuff. They sensationalized it, made it sound like it was a big issue, and yeah, after you sensationalize it, it could become a big issue. But and most of them were like this, not really good, not good steel, not good lockup or any stuff like that. But yeah, so I guess at the end of this rant, my thought is the way I look at it. A lot of it falls on parenting, how the child was raised. I had access to all of this stuff when I was a kid. We had shotgun and rifle racks in our trucks and stuff at school. Nobody ever, not once, pulled one in, even threatened anybody, let alone did a mass shooting. So, and we were for all different kinds of families, all different kinds of backgrounds. It can't be that it was just a certain type of people are doing this, It's the culture. It's the way people are raising their children. It's coddling them or something. I don't know what it is, but used to be. You know what kept me from doing a lot of that stuff a lot of times? My parents. I knew what would happen to me if I did anything. Like if I got caught. Oh man, they didn't want to be embarrassed, by the neighbors either. That did you hear what the Mansell's kid did at school? Oh my God, they were more worried about that than what would have happened to you. So, I'm not saying we should get back to that way of life or anything like that. I'm just saying, think about these things before you advocate. Yeah, you could make the thing orange or something. I know the only stuff now, you can't even have cap guns a lot of times. They have these Hollywood ones that collapse, if you're gonna poke somebody. But really, I don't buy the child reason to ban stuff because a child might get hurt or a child might do it wrong. Well, keep a child away from it. Keep it locked up if you're worried about that. But don't make it illegal for everyone else to own one. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. And we can agree to disagree. I'm not mad with anybody or anything. I'm just saying, I don't agree with every time something bad happens that you didn't hear that when a guy ran over a bunch of people in a parade, killed a bunch of people in a parade, ran them over with a van or something like that. You didn't hear a big cry to ban minivans or step vans. Why? you know. It's the action that's illegal. It's not the vehicle. It's not the gasoline. It wasn't the car. It wasn't the gas pedal. It wasn't the steering wheel's fault. It was the idiot, the nut, the loose nut behind the wheel. That's what it was. And we've got a lot of these loose nuts behind the wheel nowadays. And so maybe we should focus on mental health a little bit more, or anger management, you know. Teach people. We have a lot of problems with road rage too, where people just blast at each other because you cut me off, or you were riding my bumper, or I don't know, whatever the reason is. It's not a good reason to pull out a weapon and start blasting at people. Kids get killed doing this, and women and children. I mean, you know, you worry about women and children. Now that's an attitude right there. Another loose nut behind the wheel. Yeah, we could take away all the vehicle itself is a deadly weapon. If they didn't take that pistol out and start blasting people, just ramming your car into another car can get people killed in an accident. So the action of doing that is illegal. You know, I don't know. I'm beating a dead horse. So anyways, all I'm saying is, watch your rights while you still have them. Try to regain any rights that you've lost, if you've lost rights and stuff, because they will take them away from you for various reasons. Usually the reason is that they'll protect you. And then when you realize that the Supreme Court has judged that a cop has no individual right to protect you or your family. It's society in general. They don't, you know, you didn't protect me. Well, you should be able to protect yourself then. If the cops, the means that they're supposedly offering you as your defense force, won't defend you. So it's just logic, really. Anyway, thank you for watching, and have a nice day.